If you were brought up with parents for whom corporal punishment was the norm, it was they had lived with a kind of different kind of threat to the way that the children are living at the moment. Now there are different threats, but for example, baby boomers and some Gen X as well, there was a sort of constant low-lying simmering threat of punishment, always either at school or at home. And those punishments varied from family to family, and every family would have had their favorites. And I just think that context is really important. So when you come to therapy, and for some people, you'll be thinking, oh well, it never did me any harm, getting a belt around the jaw or anything like that. And that, I mean, that's absolutely unthinkable now for most of us. If you see a 6-year-old, the idea of actually hitting them, it sort of would make you cringe, I hope. But anyhow, I think it's just really important that we've all had a very different context. So when we're doing this kind of psychoeducation work, we've got different obstacles, and also we've had different things that have made us resilient. And resilience is, in the therapy world, is a trauma response. It's sort of helped us in our survival, but actually it's used by companies. You do resilience training to actually make sure that your workforce are working harder and not taking time off and things like that. I mean, there's a sort of capitalist element to that. So, but anyway, it's worth thinking about it. Think about the words that were in your home that were for threat, to keep you in line. I was always going to get a thick ear, or I was going to get kept in, which was worse than anything, because that would mean I had to spend time with them. I would get scalped. I would get, there'd be threats of getting leathered, and there's all sorts of. You will have your very own versions of those, and I think it's really important to understand what that actually does for you in anticipation of being in that home. And also most of us are, certainly boomers, we were the children who were up, we got the "I'll give you something to cry about" sort of thing. So it's, or you're being seen and not heard. The expectation was you're being seen and not heard. Anyway, this is all just to say that context matters, and so that every single one of us comes to our own sort of relearning the psychoeducation stuff with a whole host of things that are worthy of unpacking. Okay.